All right, today we're digging into a question that really gets to the heart of things. What actually makes a student successful? We're going to look at a fascinating study that came up with a completely unexpected answer.
For generations, we've kind of just assumed that a kid's future in school is pretty much set by their parents' money, their education, their social standing.
But what if that's not the whole story? What if it's not that simple? Well, this is all about a study that put that exact idea under the microscope. And the results? They pretty much turned that whole assumption on its head. Okay, let's get into it.
So first, let's just lay out the conventional wisdom here. The foundational belief that a student's success is mainly driven by the resources and advantages their family can give them.
And look, this idea isn't just pulled out of thin air, it's backed by tons of studies from all over the world. There's even a theory for it, called effectively maintained inequality. It basically says that parents who have advantages will always, one way or another, pass those on to their kids. Better schools, private tutors, you name it. And yeah, past research across Russia seemed to show the exact same thing. But some researchers started to wonder, does that big national trend really hold up everywhere? Is it true for every single region? To find out, they decided to zoom way in on one specific area, the Yaroslavl Oblast, a region not too far from Moscow.
And they didn't mess around with a small sample. No, they surveyed over 2,000 ninth graders from 65 different schools. We're talking everything from elite city schools to tiny village schools out in the country. This gave them a super detailed and really diverse snapshot of what was actually going on.
So to really test this family factor, they built this incredibly thorough score. They didn't just look at income. Sure, they measured socioeconomic status. But they also looked at what's called cultural capital, like literally counting the number of books in the house. And they looked at social capital, things like family stability. Now, the really interesting part is what happened when they compared this powerful score to actual student grades.
And right here, this is where the story takes a wild turn, because the results were absolutely not what anyone, based on all that prior research, would have predicted.
See, everybody thought that this family background score would be the #1 thing predicting how well a student does, but it wasn't. Not even close. The data showed that, yeah, a strong family background helps a little, but its influence was way, way weaker than they thought. It was a piece of the puzzle for sure, but it wasn't the main one.
How small are we talking? Get this. The researchers found that family background, the quality of the school, and all the other traditional things they measured, all of it combined only explained about 24% of how well a student did. That means a staggering 76% was being driven by something else entirely.
So if family wasn't the main thing, what was? Well, the data pointed to some other huge forces at play. The single biggest factor, a student's friends. Specifically, whether their friends were planning on continuing their education. And right behind that were two other massive factors. Being a girl, as girls were outperforming boys, and this incredibly important personality trait called grit.
So let's talk about this idea of grit. It's basically the perseverance and passion you bring to your long-term goals. Think of it as a mix of resilience, ambition, and just good old-fashioned self-control. And the amazing thing is, it's not really connected to how high your IQ is. In this study, a student's own determination was a much better predictor of their grades than how much money their family had. And this all points to a bigger idea that researchers are talking about more and more. That the stuff we can't easily measure on a test, your character, your mindset, your resilience, that stuff can be just as important, if not more important, than how smart you are or the family you were born into.
So what's the big takeaway here? What are we supposed to do with this information? If family isn't the all-powerful force we thought it was, well, that has to change how we think about helping students succeed, right?
The implications here are just huge. First off, it tells us that a one-size-fits-all policy from the national level might not work everywhere. It also pretty much screams that schools should be focusing on building up those non-cognitive skills, like grit. It shows us that boys might need some different, targeted support to keep up. And for parents, it's a massive flashing sign. Your kids' friends matter. A lot. When you just step back and look at the whole picture, this one study from this one region gives us this really powerful and honestly optimistic lesson about what's possible. What the Yaroslavl data really reminds us is that while your family background might determine your starting line in the race, it absolutely does not decide where you finish. The things that are much more in our own control, our own perseverance, the friends we choose to be around, and the quality of our schools, those can be the things that truly define our journey.
So this research leaves us with a really challenging question. If we know that character and environment can actually outweigh circumstance, what is the one single thing we should change, starting tomorrow, to unlock the potential inside every single student? It's a question that challenges all of us. Thanks for joining this explainer.